and children, even within a community, have very little say over state and national policy governing education. And as this lady was pointing out, No Child Left Behind and federal control of even local schools increased dramatically in the last 15 years. I think denying or minimizing that community role.
I think there's a tendency, there's a fear of thinking outside the box. There's a fear of thinking outside the box. The tendency is just to take the existing reality and just do it better.
The tendency is to take the existing reality and do it better because there's a fear of trying something very, very new. Yes, and integral theory and integral perspectives almost demand something that's new and out of the box. And I think education is at a place where we need that, where we are very, very stuck. We have an out-of-the-box proposal for education coming up a little later on. Let's see. Who's got a watch? What time is it? We need to take a break before the baristas leave. 6:35. 6:35. Okay, we'll go one or two more of these and then we'll stop for a 15-minute, 10-minute break or whatever time's left while the coffee's open. Hierarchy versus holarchy. Top-down versus bottom-up. Another integral concept and a key to recognizing certain aspects of integral applications. Hierarchy, the traditional top-down hierarchy is probably very familiar to you. The military rankings of soldiers is a classic hierarchy, ranking from the orders that are emitted from above. That's a hierarchy. Another kind of hierarchy is a traditional table of organization. This happens to be of the Circle School. The school meeting, which is made up of students and staff, is essentially a CEO. And just like other CEOs, the CEO really is in charge and can dictate to its managers, elected officials, and to its elected committees. But it is a CEO. So that's another kind of hierarchy. But now I want to talk about holarchy. And letters of the alphabet, which can be formed to make words, which can be combined to make sentences, is a holarchy in the language of integral theory. It's a bottom-up concept. So the letters themselves, letters carry some meaning, but not a whole lot of meaning. But when you combine the letters into words, they take on a meaning that transcends the meaning of the individual letters. That is, there is nothing in the letters of the word tomato that in any way hints at that red thing that is botanically a fruit and legally a vegetable, so whatever you want to call it. There's nothing in the letters. So words represent a new layer of meaning that transcends and includes letters. Of course, you can form many words from letters, and each organization, each structure of letters creates a whole new meaning. And then when you organize the words on yet another level into sentences, a new meaning emerges, and at each level there is no way to predict the meaning that's going to emerge at the next level. The big tomato ate my rotten sister. No matter how you examine the words, there's nothing that hints at the picture you get once you read those words. So this is a holarchy, a classic holarchy. One of the ways to tell the difference between a holarchy and a hierarchy is that in a hierarchy, imagine the military rankings. In a hierarchy, if you remove the bottom of the pyramid, everything else still remains. If you take away the privates, it doesn't make the sergeants disappear. In a holarchy, it's the other way around. If you take away letters, remove letters from existence, you can't have words and you can't have sentences anymore. If you remove words, you can no longer have sentences, but you've still got letters. So in a bottom-up, in a holarchy, everything is built layer by layer by layer, with new meaning at each layer. And again, same properties that we saw earlier apply to the holarchy. Earlier forms remain. When words emerge, it doesn't eliminate letters. The later builds on the earlier. There's emergent novelty. At each layer, something new emerges that's unpredictable from what came before, and there's expanded possibility. The possibility for expression is far greater with sentences than with words or with letters. And of course, in this, and again, the summary is transcend and include. Each layer transcends but includes the layers that came before. In the language of integral theory, those are called holons. A sentence is a holon. A word is a holon. A holon is something that is both a whole, composed of parts, and it's also a part that makes up a larger whole. So holons. In integral theory, most of the world is made of holons of one kind or another. And of course, this particular holarchy can go right on up to other levels of meaning beyond letters, words, and sentences. Another example of a holarchy, and all holons are nested, but here they're being depicted as nested holons. Atoms, molecules, cells, organisms form a holarchy. Molecules are built on atoms. If you take away atoms, you can't have molecules, cells, or organisms of any kind. If you take away all cells, you don't destroy atoms and molecules. And there's nothing about each layer that can predict what novelty emerges in the next layer. If you think about water, H2O, you look at a hydrogen atom, you look at an oxygen atom, you can study them for a lifetime, and there is nothing inherent in the atoms of hydrogen and oxygen that will allow you to predict the properties of water, to allow you to see what novelty is going to emerge when they combine in that form of two hydrogen atoms and an oxygen atom. Another example of holarchy, this is one of my favorites. 13.7 billion years ago, matter pops out. Nearly 4 billion years ago, out comes life. Life is built on matter, emerges from matter. If you take away matter, you've got no life. If you take away life, you've still got matter. So this is a grand, maybe the grandest holarchy. It's a holarchy of the universe. And then, out of life, emerged mind. A whole new layer of meaning. Couldn't be predicted by the parameters of life, which couldn't be predicted by the parameters of matter. And I have the feeling that nature isn't finished yet. That there are new layers of meaning to come in the future. Anybody have any guesses about what nature might do for an encore here?
I'm not allowed to say.
Oh God. Anybody else want to guess?
Spirit.
Spirit. Again, nested holons, maybe the grandest holarchy of them all. Another kind of holarchy, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you took Psychology 101, you probably encountered Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which says that until you satisfy your physiological needs, you're not going to pay attention to higher needs. You're not going to be reading poetry if a hungry lion is chasing you, or if you are starving, or if you can't get any sleep. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Again, when a person is engaged in fulfilling a higher need, it doesn't make the lower needs go away, although sometimes if you're into a great book of poetry, you might avoid eating for a long time, but sooner or later you're going to have to eat and sleep. So it's a holarchy, despite the fact that it's referred to as a hierarchy. And again, all of the properties of a holarchy apply to this particular holarchy. And you saw this earlier, but in education, eras of education or kinds of education also represent a holarchy from the bottom up. Each layer built on the previous layer.